Hey everyone, this is Nick O'Malley here with Matt Vautour. Quick note that this video is presented by Munson Savings Bank. Did you know they're one of those banks that do like the refund things if you have like the ATM things?
I did. That's outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding as somebody that uses an ATM on a regular basis.
Yeah, they're sponsoring our Patriots coverage, so I'm like, oh, I got to Google them.
Nice.
But more importantly for us, it is AFC Championship week at Gillette Stadium. Patriots are doing some practice over there. We're not allowed to show you, otherwise Bill Belichick's media ninjas will come and tackle me.
Do have a fine view of the bridge, however.
Yeah, they're gonna rappel down and get us. That's how they usually get us. You know, when we start talking about practice details. But Andrew Callahan was at practice today. He had a good look of who's out there. Fortunately for the Patriots, full attendance at practice. No major lingering issues other than the guys who are already done. So Brady, no one really big on the injury report this week. Matt, what are you looking forward to this week?
Well, I mean, other than obviously it was a terrific football game the last time these two teams played each other, and so anytime you're hoping that this matches up and is that again, kind of no reason to think it won't be. Teams are a little bit different than they were, a couple of personnel situations, but as you mentioned, practice report, glad to see Dietrich Wise back out there if you're a Patriots fan. He's a guy for a guy that can rush a passer. As quick as he is, he's a guy that you'd like to have out there sort of containing Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, this will be a big game for the Patriots defense. The Chargers had a good offense last week, but the Patriots really played well,
right?
And match up great against that. The Chiefs are a whole different animal. They have the likely MVP in Patrick Mahomes. They have a guy in Tyreek Hill that went for 7 catches for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns in Week 6.
He was crazy fast.
Yeah, he was a big reason why the Chargers were in the game late. So they have to figure out what the heck they're going to do there. And the Patriots offense, it's looking pretty good after that kind of slow finish of the season.
Certainly, if you want to compete with the Chiefs, you got to run with it. You got to be able to match up with them on the scoreboard. If you can't count on beating the Chiefs 24-21, you've got to be able to be willing to play in the 30s and the 40s. And the Patriots' offense, the last 2 games now, has looked like they're capable of that. Certainly, they looked like that on Sunday. Sony Michel, the way he played going into a cold weather game, you like that him having the game that he did as a momentum thing. He hasn't been 100% consistent this year, certainly, but if that was a sign of what he's capable of going forward, it's a big piece for him to have.
Yeah, I think Sony Michel had his best game of the season last week, which is a great time for that, and it kind of makes sense. He's progressing his work. He's steadily progressed and hits the playoffs. He has take out the games he was injured for, 13, 14 games under his belt. Yeah, he's starting to hit his stride. I think, as you said, the Patriots need to score points this week. It would normally be easy to say, the Patriots, they're going to have to score more. The Patriots' final points scored will have to be higher than the temperature in order to win this game. That is not saying much this week. The Patriots could do that by kicking a field goal.
Yeah.
It is windy here. Hopefully
the Revolution has to win the game, has to score more than the temperature is going to be in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's, starting Monday, right out of the gate, that was sort of the topic of the week because we didn't have anything to talk about yet, so everyone just talked about the temperature, and Bill Belichick, unsurprisingly, got asked about what he thinks about the temperature this week, and it is only Wednesday, and he already looks sick and tired about talking about the weather for this weekend.
It's one of those things, I don't think it's a factor of who wins and who loses. Both of these teams have played in cold weather before. Both of these teams, you're not playing against New Orleans here. You're not playing against a dome team. It gets cold in Kansas City. It's further south than here, but it gets cold in Kansas City. Historically, it's been cold in Kansas City. It'd be interesting to see how Patrick Mahomes, who hasn't really dealt with that, deals with that. But it's not like you look at him and say Breeze, or you look at Peyton Manning and guys that historically didn't do well in it. He just hasn't really played in it. The interesting thing is...
Yeah, they're not going up against a dome team.
Exactly. The interesting thing becomes... is some decisions that you make. You make decisions with field position. You make decisions with when you kick it. You make what does the wind look like, and how do you use that? There are things that come into play in a cold weather game, running the ball a little bit more, that aren't in play. They're going to be in play for both teams, and I don't think there's an advantage to be gained from it necessarily. But it'll be interesting to watch it and how it affects the game. Weather is like the referee. You can't control it. It affects both sides, and you just kind of deal with it as it comes.
Yeah, it's not really an advantage thing. It's it's a cool thing in that it's going to present a certain type of game. It's going to be like a rain game, a snow game.
Right.
Like it's hard to, you can't really gauge who's it's going to benefit. It's going to generate a fun element, an element of chaos. You don't know how it's going to go. Like you said, it does affect certain decisions. Like if it's 0 degrees out, I can't imagine the Patriots trying to kick a 55-yard field goal. In cold weather, it's like kicking a rock, and it's the chances of hitting a long field goal way down with the temperatures that low. That's one factor. And
4-down territory is probably expanded at least to some degree when the game's tight.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that punting is going to be as effective, especially when it's cold and windy. Some weird stuff could happen as a result of the cold, which is going to be interesting. If this ends up being the coldest game in Patriots history, it'll be cool because you got to see the coldest game in Patriots history.
You see all those guys with the snapshots, and you see all the pictures where you'll be able to see guys' breath, and that kind of thing. You're right. It's one of those fun curiosity things. It's not a snow game, which is kind of maybe the most fun when you get that snow globe effect and guys sliding around. But after that, you're picturing John Facenda and NFL films talking about what that is, and so
the cold tundra of a Kansas City.
Yes. It's a great thing to talk about leading up to the game, going during the game, after the game. I have a feeling that these two teams will have given us plenty to talk about that won't revolve around the thermometer.
It's one of those things that looks really cool on the DVD after the season, and like catching up. Oh, remember that thing, and the scenery and the mythos of this game. In terms of X's and O's and executions, it doesn't matter that much for the Patriots. Tom Brady's going to put on his scuba gear, whatever he does, and put his hand warmer on. There's going to be 8,000 heaters on each sidelines, and the players are going to do what they can to stay warm. And
it'll be romantic to look back at for whoever wins the game, and it'll be there'll be other things to point to for whoever loses it.
Fans of whichever team loses are going to be mad that they paid a bunch of money to go at this thing and sit in the cold. I can't imagine.
I can't imagine that either. All credit to anybody that has that kind of passion. It's not nearly as cold right now. This ear right now, I'm regretting not wearing the same hat that Nick has right now. And so I can't even imagine dropping another 20 or so degrees.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like, this cold now. And someone was talking earlier about, going from 60 degrees, this is kind of nice, out to 30 degrees. It stinks, which is 30. Going from 30 to 0, hard to imagine that difference in temperature. We got a little bit of that in Minnesota last year, trying to go into the stadium as I froze my butt off. When we go to Kansas City, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be like half human, half hand warmers, just like walking around.
I took a look at on my app just out of curiosity to compare. It is expected to be colder feeling in Kansas City on Sunday than it is in Vladivostok, Russia.
All right.
Fairbanks, Alaska. And
Mars?
Yes, Helsinki. I did not check Mars. I don't have. You have to go to Chris Cotillo for that app. I don't have the Surface of Mars app.
All right, so we're starting to get into the X's and O's of this week. We just finished talking with Andy Reid on a conference call. There's growing speculation that Andy Reid got a question about J.C. Jackson. We're not entirely sure that Andy Reid knew exactly who J.C. Jackson was on the first impression. Didn't have a great answer on him, but it's still early on the week. Everyone's catching up. A lot of these guys just know things by numbers.
I was gonna say, I'm sure he knows. Yeah. I'm sure he knows him by the jersey number, whether or not he knows what name is written across the back of it. It's kind of like he knows that rookie guy that makes those plays. I don't know that he necessarily has to know the number as long as he knows who he's going up against.
But I think both sides of this game are kind of in the mindset that the Week 6 game, a lot of stuff has changed since then. The Chiefs have a different starting running back. They have a whole bunch of new quarterbacks. The Patriots, J.C. Jackson was a healthy scratch for that game. Now he's a really important player. That
might never be a healthy scratch again.
Yeah, he's evolved into a really important part of this defense. There are a lot of different factors heading into this game, so you can take a look at that shootout and go, "Oh, that was cool." We don't know how much it's going to translate into this game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see after the first couple of drives by both teams to see how they adjust. First of all, it'll be interesting to see right away to see how they've adjusted since that last game based on scheme, based on personnel. It'll be interesting to see as the game progresses who wins the adjustment chess match. And these are two coaches that are very capable of that. Obviously, with Bill Belichick, you never know what you're going to get going into it. I mean, you could see a lot of Sony Michel again. I mean, he proved that. You know there'll be a role in some way, shape, or form for James White. What will that role be? I'm curious to see it. I'm looking forward to it.
We have a question about, do you think Chris Hogan could be more proactive this Sunday? So I was just gonna say, just hypothetically, like Bill Belichick could buck the trend of everyone saying, "Oh, the Patriots run the ball more because it's cold." Tom Brady could throw the ball 50 times because Bill Belichick's a madman.
And he's been effective doing that in cold weather before.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have they're not great on pass defense. They have a good pass rush. Patriots have arguably the best offensive line in pass protection this year, and so the Patriots just could have ending chucking the ball